Hello, camera, other camera that we're not going to refer to. My name is Sydney Davis, and I am a thoroughly educated and obsessed human being with one and only one musical that you probably never heard of, and it is called A Chorus Line. You have to imagine that you're me a couple of years ago, and you have heard of this musical that nobody talks about, but it is one of the longest running musicals of all time. Presently, it is still the 7th longest running Broadway musical of all time. And it, at one point, was the longest running musical in history until it was beaten out by Cats. Hold for the pain and silence that I hate the musical Cats so much. The year is 1975, and this man, Michael Bennett, who changed the face of theater forever with the making of this show, he decided that he had a vision, that he was going to make a musical about the people who danced on Broadway. Not the main actors, not any of the famous people, the people who danced in the background, people who danced in the chorus, hence a chorus line. As you can see, I am very thoroughly studied. All of my books are well notated, which I will read to you shortly. Michael Bennett takes a group of his friends. They get together on Christmas Eve in the middle of downtown Broadway nowhere, and with nothing but each other, a tape recorder, and one giant jug of really bad red wine, they turn on the recorder and they just start talking about their lives. What it's like being in the dancing business, what it's like being on Broadway, what it's like being in show business in general, and all these stories about how they became dancers, what growing up was like in this show business, and all of these stories were not only really authentic, they were also hilarious and heartbreaking. And this one session went on for a whole day. It was hours and hours upon just audio recording. He then took these tapes, went home, listened to them, and he thought to himself, there is something magical here that the world has to see. So he did the only normal thing that a person could do, was he decided to do a taping session again. He re-invited some of the same people who appeared at the first one, invited some new people. They did a second taping session, and again, talking about stories about what it was like growing up, how they realized that they loved dancing, all these different things. They talk about their families, their first jobs, the people they had crushes on, all of these very natural life experiences that most humans go through. And then he took all of this audio and he went to his friend, Bob Avian, and he said, I need to write a show. There is a show in here somewhere. Bob Avian looks at Michael and goes, let's make this show. And they hire on Marvin Hamlish, one of the few composers who has achieved PGOT status by way of winning awards through this show. There was a firm belief in the making of the music and the combination of real stories that came from real people that made the show so authentic. The way I describe the show to people is that it is sort of a journey through what growing up is like through the view of Broadway dancers, Broadway chorus dancers. And it is one of the most hilarious, heartbreaking shows I have ever watched. And I cannot believe that the only way that I got through this was that I tried watching the show once as a very young teenager, and I got to the point in the story where one guy's talking about how he accidentally thought that he gave himself gonorrhea, and I looked at the part in the show and I thought to myself, this show is boring, and I turned it off and I thought I was never gonna finish it. And it wasn't until there was a Broadway revival in the late 2000s with some of my favorite Broadway people, Jason Tam. I love Jason Tam. And it wasn't until the revival recording of the show came out that I watched it in full, cried, and then became thoroughly obsessed with the show for the rest of my life. Every single time I watch this show, I will watch and listen to it on repeat for at least 2 weeks. I know every line of this show. I know how the music goes. And I have thoroughly researched. So let me read you a couple of my notes. Maybe not this one. This one is actually about Michael Bennett, the man, the myth, the legend, and how he was a thoroughly unhinged, crazy man. He was also extremely gay, but in denial so much that he married one of his co-stars and got into a straight marriage, which later ended in a divorce. There are many sections where I talk about how we were like, oh, Here's a note. How does a man this ugly get so many bitches? Not sure what the context of that is. I would, like your average pixie dream girl, go into Starbucks just to read these books and make notations. The note that I've made on this one, and again, this one, another one of Michael Bennett. This was written in 1989, and I put in brackets Taylor Swift because that is, in fact, an album by Taylor Swift.
Taylor's version?
Yeah, a chorus line, Taylor's version. Yeah. Michael Bennett was kind of a crazy person. He wanted this show to be so great. He wanted it to be at the top of anything. Originally, this show was just going to be called Chorus Line, but he thought, no, it must be called A Chorus Line because A is the first letter of the alphabet, and he wanted his show to be first alphabetically on all of the Broadway lists forever.
Did you color code that in a rainbow?
No, these were just like, I would just like use them and then run out of a certain color and then use the next one and run out of that. So, and I should have just said yes and lied. So this was a show made in 1975 that first premiered in 1976, and it was a show that took place in the time that it was made. So the actual stage show it takes place in one room with all of these dancers and with one guy on sort of a voice projector at the back, and the entire show is an audition process. You never get to see any of the people in the show get through to the audition and actually go to the final show. The whole show is just these like 17 dancers doing an audition, and you get to hear the different stories of their lives. And there's also one of the few shows that I can think of that has no intermission. It is a run-through straight show, and I love every second of it. People who deal with me, I have forced many of my friends against their will to watch this show. Almost nobody in the modern era who loves musical theater, none of the theater kids who exist now know this show the way that I do. I've studied it immensely. The fact that this is still the 7th longest running Broadway show in history and almost nobody my age knows that it exists or has seen it is baffling to me because everybody's obsessed with Cats and Phantom of the Opera and Hamilton. And I'm not saying that Phantom of the Opera and Hamilton are not great shows, but this is a show that has been great for so long and is a purely human story, and nobody my age knows that it exists. And I need people to watch this show because I love it. It is one of the few hyperfixations I will never let go of in my camera. Watch this show. Watch this show. Please, God, watch this musical. I need people to know that it's good and that it exists and that it is worth watching. I love this show so much. Listen, you guys, if they were supposed to do a revival of A Chorus Line in the year 2025 and they canceled it, I was gonna ship myself off into Broadway to go audition for these things. I would have done it. I would have done it too, but they canceled it, which is robbery of my entire hyperfixation on this show. Bring it back. Bring it back.
And that was Cats, right?
No, shut up. As you can tell, I'm getting a little bit too involved. But that is just like the depth of feeling that I have for the show. They're telling me to stop. I cannot be stopped. Go watch the show. Go watch the show. Go watch the show. Put in the comments of this video. Put it in the I'm sorry. Watch the show.